Hello. I'm not a genealogist, but I am a long-time Ancestry user. And I'm here today to go through my top 10 Ancestry bugs and limitations 2025 edition. Now, first, I really love Ancestry as a platform. And I often talk to the support staff about bugs that I find. And call me cynical, but I don't quite believe the sort of line they give me of, we'll pass it on to our dev team, let them know about this problem, if enough people report it, it'll get fixed, that sort of thing. Because over the years, I've reported quite a few bugs, but I'm yet to see one actually resolved. So I'm hoping that by putting this out on YouTube, get a bit of traction, maybe get a few people to notice, and hopefully someone at Ancestry who fixes bugs will be able to pick this up and fix a few of these. So number one, in memories, you can't, when you're viewing an individual memory, you can't page forwards after the 29th item. Now I'm in one of my albums at the moment, and I'm just using this album because it's convenient. You can see here I've got sort of numbering before each of these items, so I can see which item is the 29th item. The numbering starts at 0, but that'll mean that the 29th item will be numbered 28. So I'll just show you. If I go down and pop open, say, this one here, number 25, which will actually be the 24th. Hang on, let me think. The 26th item, sorry. You can see here that I can move left and right and sort of page through memories one at a time. But if I go back and open 28, which is the 29th item, for reasons known only to Ancestry, I don't have a next arrow here. I've only got a back arrow. And you can see if I go back to 27, which is the 28th item, I can go forward and back again. But as soon as I hit the 29th item, I can't go further forward. And then also, if I opens like, say this one here, which is a bit beyond the 29th item in a list, if I hit back from here, you can see that it kind of jumps to the 27th item, then the 26th item, then the 29th item again, and then eventually lets you sort of page back and forward normally. But yeah, it's just kind of messed up. You go beyond the 29th item and behavior of that paging between individual memories isn't correct. So I guess what I'd like to see is to have things work. And I just want to say that this is the 29th item in the list, regardless of the list. I'm looking at an individual album just because it's convenient at the moment, but if I were to go back to my entire gallery or something like that and look at the 29th item in that, it would be the 29th item in that area as well. It's just whatever list you're currently looking at. Number 2. This one's also in memories. If I open an individual memory and then try to download the memory, if the memory has an ampersand in its name, and you can see I've put an ampersand there in this one just to trigger the problem. If I download it, the file name gets cut off at the ampersand. And you can see here, this this is my download, see, it's got the first part of the file name, so 26-Chris, and then beyond that, it's cut off. And I think I know why. I mean, it's not a good thing, but I think what's happening at Ancestry is someone's not escaping request parameters properly. Now, I should mention, I'm not a genealogist, but I am a software developer, and I can tell you this is like maybe like a 5-minute thing to fix. I don't know, it might be more involved. I don't know exactly what the platform is at Ancestry, but the point is it's not hard to fix. It's pretty trivial, but it's a little bit scary because it's also an indicator that maybe there's sort of a vulnerability here. Like if it doesn't escape the ampersand properly, then maybe it's also not escaping other things. So yeah, I would say that it looks fairly innocuous, but it'd be a good bug to fix for someone watching at Ancestry. Number 3, and this one's related to document types. Now, something that's really important on these types of records, birth certificates, death certificates, just certificates in general, is the transcription field. Now, I don't know, if I click edit here, you can see I've got a transcription field for this particular document, and its type at the moment is document/certificate. Now, Ancestry provide subtypes, and technically, well, this is a death certificate, so by rights, I should be assigning this the death certificate type. However, the problem I have, and this is the bug, in my opinion, is that if I select death certificate as a type, transcription goes away. Now, I get that they've got birth date, birth location, death location, that sort of thing, but it doesn't obviate the need for transcription here. I mean, there are certain things on here, there's things like the cause of death, and there's various other bits of text. A lot of the time it's just very convenient to have the transcription listed there. And if you do select one of these types, you just can't, the transcription's still there behind the scenes, but you won't see it. It becomes a hidden field. So I'll show you, like if I put in, start typing a transcription, that transcription appears, but if I change the type to death certificate, save it, you can see it's gone. And if I change it back, there it is again. There's the transcription I had there. So it's not like this is removing the transcription, but it's just hiding it for death certificate types. It's subtypes of document/certificate, which to me makes these subtypes kind of useless. I don't want to use these types because I want to be able to put a transcription in for the person who's died, or the birth of the person, or the marriage, or whatever. So yeah, it'd be really good if someone at Ancestry could see this and just make it visible for all types. I don't understand why it's not currently visible for all types. And the other thing that would be really good while they're addressing this is there's kind of an on-again, off-again bug with the transcription field. It's currently on again, and I'll see if I can quickly demo it to show you. Line 1, line 2, line 3. You can see I've got 3 different lines of a transcription here. When I save that, the current behavior is to show 3 lines of text, or however many lines of text, basically collapse new lines. So if you've got any new lines in your transcription field like that, you don't see them, you just see that everything is one big chunk of text. Now, I say it's on again, off again. It's on. It's a bug right now. But in the past, it's been fixed. And I don't know what's happened. I think this latest iteration of the memories view has brought it back. But it's one of those things that it just makes the transcription that much more useful if you can put new lines in it, because you can sort of break things up by line, or show how, like, show individual lines transcribed. Number 4, and this sort of takes us to Pro Tools and my general opinion of Pro Tools, plus a few things that I thought would be in Pro Tools that we just don't have. So the first thing is what I consider to be the bug. You can see here that I've got my tree rating open. This is the tree checker tool. And I'll open this guy, Vladislav, first. If I look, I think it's the check for errors link here. If I look here, it says there are no relationships for Vladislav, which is a great thing. I mean, like, it picks up on the fact that he's got no relationship to anybody else in my tree. However, what this tree checker can't do is point out isolated islands of people. I've heard some of the genealogists online call them floating trees. Sort of, you've got your main set of people who are related to you, the starting person in the tree, and then you might have sort of other people that were related to people that you disconnected, and they can form kind of trees of their own. It's often used as sort of a research tool, but there's nothing about that here. And in fact, there's no way in Ancestry, full stop, to try to manage these floating trees. This is going sort of into hypothetical territory, but I've actually written my own local sort of tool to demonstrate what I think would be a good way of handling this. So I've just done this on my tree here. I've got an unpacked local browser extension that's facilitating this, but I'm only using publicly available API endpoints from Ancestry. I just want to demo sort of what I think, or how I think this should work. But what I would expect is, like, if you can't view that sort of information in the problems view, which is maybe one way of looking at it, you should be able to navigate to that when you're viewing your tree. Like right now I'm on my family tree here, and you can see I've added this extra button here that shows that I'm on the main branch of my tree. And if I drop this down, I've got all these people that I've built an automated tool that identifies these people as the starting points for other trees. They're the earliest added record to a floating tree, if you will. And so if I flick to one of these, you can see that Vladislav, as mentioned before, is all out on his own, but I can also see things like this tree, which is just a couple of different people that I thought might be related at some point. I should investigate. I know that you can have your own system for managing these floating trees, but there really should be some acknowledgement of it within Ancestry. Some way to get to that, some way to manage them, and if they're an error, or if they're considered an error, bring them up in this sort of tree checker view, this one here. If they're not an error, let us sort of use them as a proper first-class feature of the website. The other thing, talking about Pro Tools, is I like the Pro Tools generally, and I really like the sort of fan view. Let me go to the fan view here. Actually, I have to go back to fan view and pop back to me. This fan view in particular is great. And I like that I think we've got a few extra sort of ways to visualize things with Pro Tools. I can view the number of hints, number of photos, number of sources, you get it. These additional views are helpful. They're just limited, and I think there are some better options. One that I would propose is, and I've just mocked this up again, it looks a bit like a reverse sources chart, but what this actually is my through lines matches mapped over a fan view. In my opinion, that'd be really great because you could sort of tell at an instant where there's a sort of see where the purple doesn't become darker purple. You could sort of see at an instant where you haven't got more DNA matches, or for instance this white section here, I could see, well, there's just no DNA matching. That could indicate something to investigate. Or this white person out here is potentially an indicator that there's no DNA, or perhaps an error that's, you know, occurred in the through lines, which happens from time to time. So anyway, I think that's number one. I think that could be a good, helpful view. And the other sort of suggestion I would have for Pro Tools fan view in particular is to have something along the lines of this. And what I'm proposing here is like a quality score for the people in your fan view. So gold here would indicate all of the, I think they call the bio records. So all of the birth, death, location, name, and photo information is present and sourced. And then sort of silver would be like a mid tier for that. And then bronze would be maybe you've got some partial information. Then, you know, these white ones could indicate that you've got just the name only or something like that. The idea is that it gives you some idea very quickly when you look at this fan of where you should go next in your tree, what you need to work on or what you need to improve next in your tree. Number 5. Okay, this one really bugs me. I'll just wait for this to pop up here. You can't mark your profile as complete until you say you're willing to collaborate or take photos or find records or translate or offer advice. If you don't want to help others, which, you know, I want to help others, but I don't want to mark my profile as wanting to help others. Therefore, I can't complete my profile at the moment. I'll just show you what I mean. If I click Get Started here, you can see all these items are complete, but collaboration preferences needs review. Okay, let's begin. Are you willing to work with others on family research? No thanks. Are you willing to contribute to the Ancestry community? Oops. None of those. Next. And it looks like it's complete. If you wait a second, there it comes. Complete your profile. Now, I can tell you right now, if I were to tick any of these, I'd be able to complete the profile. But that's not the point. The point, I think, is that this is wrong. You shouldn't have to commit to being open to collaborating, wanting to take photos, etc., in order to complete your profile. This is supposed to indicate an error, like something you haven't thought about or looked at yet. The problem, I think, is that on Ancestry's side, someone hasn't accounted for the possibility of you looking at these options and saying, no, thank you. Number 6. Now, Ancestry, in my opinion, has the best DNA search. I've subscribed to some other platforms in the past, and Ancestry's is the most flexible. However, that doesn't mean they're fantastic. There's a lot of room for improvement, and in particular, when you're using filters to filter your DNA, there are a few things that work but aren't particularly well thought out, in my opinion. If you look here under trees, I can choose all trees, privately linked trees, publicly linked trees, and then unlinked trees. Now, the problem with this is a lot of the time when you want to filter by trees, what you're really interested in is whether or not someone has a tree, regardless of whether it's linked or private or what have you. You can't do that with this filter. Your only choice here is all or a specific type of tree. So if you want to get that list of people who have interesting trees with particular criteria, your only option really is to build 3 separate lists, maybe open 3 different tabs to manage it all. And it's really not sort of ideal. The other thing I think is really lacking in the DNA sort of filter area is this parent section where you can filter by your parent labels. And if you have pro tools like I do, you can filter by Ancestry's labels. However, these 2 groups of labels do not intersect. They're not the same. I mean, they're 2 separate lists of people. This maternal list is a completely different list to this maternal list, and there's no overarching group that encompasses both. To me, these are both bugs because they feel like oversights when these features were being designed. The features are complete in that you can sort of chop and change and adjust your filters as necessary, but the filters themselves don't match some real world use cases. So my suggestion, I mean for trees at least anyway, as a very simple stopgap would be to just have any trees as a 5th item to choose here. That to me would be way more useful than the ability to narrow down to a specific type of tree for my DNA matches. And then on this side of things, I don't think there's an easy solution to the parent problem, but I think with a bit of finagling you could come up with something. Maybe you could have a 3rd section that was Ancestry plus your labels combined or something. Number 7. Now, alternate names in Ancestry have some strange limitations. They work in certain areas. They work here in the DNA match list. They work in, I think they work in the general search when you're searching other people's records. But they don't work in your own tree. So for instance, if I use this find in tree tool, if I search by someone's alternate name, it won't show up in the results. And similarly, if I search the list of all people, it doesn't work there either. Now to me, that kind of really limits the usefulness of alternate names. I get that they're supposed to help facilitate the Ancestry algorithm and let people find things that way, but they would also be tremendously useful as a tool for our own trees. In particular, there are a lot of situations I can think of where someone might want to search by a nickname or search by an alternate surname to work out, oh hey, there was another person who perhaps had this surname or may have shared this surname. And you can't do that at the moment with the find in tree tool. It'll only search by the primary name of a person. Number 8. Now, Ancestry has a good mix of indexes in its card catalog, but there are some free online indexes that for whatever reason are not part of it. And that's not a problem in itself for me, but the problem I do have is there's no way to know why that's the case. And I don't know whether it's sensitive information or not, but just from a user perspective, it'd be nice to know with these third-party indexes why they're not part of Ancestry yet, whether they've been contacted, that kind of thing. And I know Ancestry has a page for recently updated indexes in the catalog. I guess what I'm suggesting is maybe they could have like a page for indexes that have been contacted or something. I don't know. Anyway, it's just an idea, but knowing that kind of information would be really good, because when an index is third party like this, when you've got to go out to another website and do the searches and get the records, when you want to link those records to your tree, it's a bit of a process to do so. You've got to download the record in this case, because you can't really link to the result, and then attach it to the tree and create a source for it and do a bunch of other stuff. When the index is part of Ancestry, and I'm not saying the record necessarily, just the index, it just makes things so much easier from a management perspective. Anyway, more of a wish list item for me than a bug necessarily, but still something that really annoys me. Number 9. You can't add new individuals to image records that are Ancestry controlled, if that makes sense. So this is an image record of Church of England marriages and bands, something. Actually, it's a wedding record for a couple of people in my tree. Now you can see here, I've got these 4 names here. For marriage records, Ancestry will only ever index the groom, the bride, the groom's father, and the bride's father. Now in this case, if you look here, you can see there's someone by the name Ilbury, and that surname is shared with the groom. And then similarly with Wilson, the bride, there's another Wilson there who witnessed the ceremony. What I think we should be able to do is this John Ilbury here, for instance, tag that this person is in the image and link it to a record in our tree. Because as it currently stands, the only people that I can link this to in my tree are these 4 here. And even though this mentions John Ilbury, and I can't remember who he is right now, I think he might be the brother of the groom, and Lucy Wilson, I know she's the sister of the bride, I can't link it to them, and it's just another point of data that would be great to be able to put in records. Number 10. And for this last one, we're back on memories. And I feel like this is a really obvious thing, but I have to mention it because it's not there. You can't search memories by the name of the document. You can filter by the people in the document or where the document's from, but you can't just, one of these titles here, like, you know, Margaret and Friends, I can't put that in here to search by. And I know that the idea is that I'm supposed to tag everything and have everything neatly categorized, but when I'm looking to work on something in my tree, it's usually something that isn't tagged, you know, and the name can be a great starting point as an identifier for that. So yeah, that's my suggestion. Let us search by name. Just a little bonus one. If you click on a different type of memory and then try to activate this ellipsis menu before everything's open, the page isn't responsive after that. Now, just to show you, if I load the page, switch to the gallery view, and then wait for everything to load properly, you can see that I can do things normally. But yeah, that came up just as I was sort of browsing around Ancestry. All right, well, if you enjoyed this video, I don't know, give me a thumbs up, give me a like. If you know someone at Ancestry that fixes bugs, you know some of the, not the support staff, but the technical staff at Ancestry, could you think about forwarding this along? And if you have bugs of your own that you've noticed in Ancestry, maybe leave them in the comments, and if I get enough of those, I might make a part 2 to this that covers some of the bugs from your comments. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time I make a video. Bye.